We're good.
All right, we on? All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the December 14th Facilities Committee meeting. It is 4 p.m. and we're going to get going. Frank, why don't you go ahead and jump into whichever item you want to hit first on that agenda.
Yeah, so I asked Rob if I could jump around a little bit, just because there's so many different things that are going on, and I figured we'd move them around. I want to start with the amenities at varsity fields. I have Joe here and stuff. And again, this probably all leads up to the prioritization of the building condition survey and talking about that. But there's all the different things that are at the baseball field and at the field itself, such as seating. We don't have a ton of great seating over there, and different issues throughout the facilities. Audio, we don't have an outside audio that can meet the soccer fields, the baseball fields, the softball fields, and football fields over there. And I think overall, just streaming, if we're going to do that, and then there's dugouts of that. So I think Joe and I, and we've all been kind of talking about it, is the district can't fund everything. And we have a lot of community members who want to help fund and fundraise and do things. I think we have to come to an understanding of what we want to do ourselves and what we're going to ask for support on, and kind of what the vision is. Joe, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. What Frank has listed on the agenda there, the seating, the sound system, and the streaming, I see those three things as connected to some degree. The ability to stream outside is greatly limited because there's no facility to stream from. A camera that you would stream with needs to be mounted a certain distance and a certain height from the game field that you're streaming from. The technology exists to do it. The problem is you would need structures with Ethernet and power to be able to, and that's all you need to be able to stream. Then the rest of the equipment pretty much functions through an app on your phone. You simply turn it on in the camera, and the program does the rest for you. So this originally started with a discussion of seating. The audio piece of it, I got a price quote to upgrade the sound system that's at the football field to be able to utilize that in a way that you can hear it at all the other on-campus fields. And it came in at just over $32,000 for the upgrade. But the upgrade didn't include all the other parts that you would need to mount the equipment. The equipment would need to go, the speakers would need to go up on poles a certain height. None of the poles were included. None of the site work was included in that quote. So any of the sort of Band-Aid type solutions, are just like a bare bones minimum. When you tack in all those other pieces of it, you're probably heading up towards six figures to do that type of thing. There are, and a lot of schools have them, they're bleacher press box combinations. So, for example, you could have a 250 seat bleacher and the press box is built into the bleacher. So in our original discussion, we talked about, Frank and I have been approached a few different times by boosters or community groups that want to start some type of fundraising campaign to help us fill the void with some of the facilities issues that we have. So we wanted to kind of get it on the table, like, how much is that something we would want to consider? What type of parameters would we want to put on it to manage it? In athletics, I've done a couple of these over the last 20 years. We did a fundraising campaign that's what actually purchased the touchpad timing system that's in the pool. And that was a really good project that, they fundraised about $30,000, and the district financed the installation of that. And then there was the baseball field renovation project, which a group called the Voorheesville Baseball Club spearheaded. And that was relatively successful. So we thought one of the issues that we have are we don't have dugouts at our softball field. So we thought we'd float the idea of maybe piloting, a fundraising project with the softball booster club to see how that goes. Sort of start, at a lower level project to see how it goes and start the discussions of, how we want to handle this, or if we even want to consider this in the future.
So another thing is, things can get out of control very quickly, right? So, I mean, it would be great to have bleachers over at the soccer field, and we can put some over there. We can take the bleachers we currently have, move them to the other side of the football field. We can put the new bleachers that are press box up. There's so many things we can do, and it can just build and build and build and build. And, there's still things that we have to do to our facilities. So we still have to make sure that we're upkeeping all facilities, getting it underneath a fertilization, and making sure we're overseeding and doing all those things. And then on top of it, we got the quotes today for what they would say for our track and tennis courts. So, we're going to have to put. Oh, I just lost the TV, that's all. Sorry, we just lost you on the TV, but you're still here. We're going to have to put funds in to this. So if we want to increase our outside facilities and our athletic facilities, we are going to have to look for our community for donations. I mean, we're just not going to be able to do everything everybody wants with the funding of the district, knowing that we still have to do all of the other work. Right?
So what happens if you were to talk to people, isn't there a way like for a 4-year push out, okay, and sell that to the community? Now, if you spread everything you need for 4 years, would that get us to a nice higher level?
I like that idea. So one year we do a dugout, and the next year we do bleachers, and the next year.
Because if you get that done in some kind of a situation like that, you got to take one piece at a time, okay? And the community is going to see that. Oh, this one is bang, 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 bang. And I think you wouldn't get any pushback from the community for a waste of money, and I think that that level of four things we need over 4 years, it may become a really good way to get at this and get support in the community.
Yeah, they want it. I mean, we're being approached. People it's funny. I've never been in a place where people just want to give you money. But I mean, they want to give us money, and it helps support us. So I think that's an interesting idea, is that we could develop a plan of what that would look like.
I mean, it would be something that would sell, and I mean, our community likes to get into that stuff.
Joe, what's your thoughts, Bob?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's really kind of the feedback we were looking for.
Yeah, actually, we didn't think of that at all. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. One of the things is, is where do we want to go with a facility, right? In the end, it brings up what our track is going to cost us. So we had them come out, and they quoted us resurfacing, and the quote for resurfacing is $125,000. And what they said was, and this was one company, but they basically have the market on this. They said that the track life is 20 to 25 years. So we got that in 2001. So putting that $125,000 into it really isn't going to do much, because there's more that needs to be done. They said to do what needs to be done and get a whole new track in, and that is milling and taking off and doing that, $486,000. which is money we don't have, right? And it is, to do that, that would be a capital project 5 years from now. Because we already maxed out most of the money on that for the high school.
Is there anything that we can go back into how they did that and what it cost them back then? Because I can't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah.
How that was structured.
We're looking into it because I think, personally, I feel that quote is extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill and I both agree that, that we feel like there's other things that can be done. So we're going to look at that. But I mean, it just gives you an example. If we're going to do $486,000 as a capital project, I mean, things have to also happen and get done, right? And then our tennis courts, they gave us a quote of $100,000 to fill the cracks, paint it, and fix the nets. That's not, taking off and redoing the asphalt and doing that. That was just fixing it. So we think we can get it to that point and maybe get lower for our $100,000 capital project, which we want to do next year. But that's still pretty high. Doing the whole thing was like $260,000 or something like that. I have the quote here. It was, to do the full track, $235,000. So I think it's important to note that we're not going to be able to do everything that everybody wants with just our district general fund money. It's impossible. But with that being said, we are not going to be able to maybe get to Taj Mahal, right? I think you have to know what you want as a school community. You want like a brand new track, brand new soccer fields, a brand new lacrosse fields, and all this other stuff, or you want top-notch, top-notch grass fields that, with the footprint that we have. We have to understand what that setting is, because if we're going to make a 4-year plan, we need to know what the end output is going to look like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts on the end output? But I think we can move forward, but we'll kind of look at what we have and move from there. Does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right.
You got to run with it if you're going to do something.
So Joe, we'll have a conversation. So we'll go
Thank
from
you.
there. So speaking of updates and going through it, I wanted to have Bill give some updates and we kind of talk where we are. You saw where we are with the quotes for the tennis courts and everything else. We do want to budget for that stuff. We have been budgeting for these things to get them fixed. It's just, getting the quote for the track kind of surprised us because we were expecting the resurfacing and that's it. And we knew it was going to be around 125. We didn't expect the bill of 486. So that's one that we still need to go back to and try to figure out a little bit more. Bill, you want to give us some more updates we got?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that is actually happening now is we are putting in the scoreboard over satellite field for lacrosse and soccer. We're looking into some warranty work on some of the roof on this building. Instead of us putting the bill, some of the leaks that we currently have are still covered. The roof is warranted till, I want to say something like 2044. So some of the stuff that we've done up here will be covered, even though it's in the 5-year plan for, Michelle did with the BCS for Mosaic. But some of this stuff is actually going to be taken care of. The other thing we've been working on was the lighting for the pool and looking at how we're going to go down that road. That's pretty much it for what I have at this point.
So we're doing the $100,000 project at the elementary school. We're moving forward on that now. That is, fixing the fields to the point where we can fix them, within price range, and putting an HVAC unit in the server closet in the elementary school. So that helps, because right now, remember, there's a fan that just blows on the servers, and it's just not a very safe environment down there. So that's what we're doing and looking into that. Any questions on basic updates? All right.
No.
Moving on. So now I want to talk about phase 3, and we've been talking about lights and LED lights and all this other stuff. So I think, as you know me at this point, I want to make plans and move forward, but I also don't want to miss out on an opportunity. And I think sometimes what happens with people is They get so focused on accomplishing something that when a new opportunity comes up, you don't look at it, and then you miss an opportunity. So let's talk about phase 3 of the project. You know we have funds that are left over. I've been talking about doing LED lights. I've been saying forever that part of the project that was originally talked about and that you wanted to do was secure vestibules. You remember that? And every time I bring it up,
Yes.
every time I bring it up, I've been told we can't do it. It's too much money. It's not possible. Every single time. Lo and behold, I brought it up again because I don't like taking no for an answer. And we think we can actually do a secured vestibule in the middle school with funds from phase 3. So that's a new one. So I want to kind of show you what we're talking about here. I'm going to present to you, hopefully, if I can.
You got drawings or something?
Yeah, I have a drawing. Yeah. Well, not a CAD drawing, not something like. I'm just trying to. Sorry, it's going to look a little funky for everybody who's in the room for a minute. Sorry. Just because it's easier for me to do it this way because I know how to do it.
We're gonna climb a wall.
But Rob can't see, so I got to present. Which one's present? There it is. All right, sorry. It's a technical difficulty, right? Is that it? Oh, won't let me share it. Dang it. Well, Molly sent it to you guys anyways, right? It was in the agenda that was sent out as an attachment, I believe.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
Oh, I was muted. Sorry, I was saying, yep, I got it.
Okay, I thought it was in the agenda that she sent out.
Yeah, it is. Right, it's
All
right there. Yep, I see it.
I'm just going
Got
to
it
share
over.
it for us in the room so they can see it. And Rob, you can. The one I'm going to look at it's the CAD drawing that says middle school main entrance. So if you were to walk into the middle school entrance, there are the 2 double doors. Now on the left-hand side is where the fob access is, and on the right-hand side is where you have your brick wall that butts up against the middle school office. Right now, there is the simplex or the fire system kind of thing that's right there that was put in. That can be moved over. Bill says it's pretty simple to move it, and Bill's actually licensed to do that, so he knows. And we can put a window right there. And the reason why we can do it is because there's enough space in that area. There's not enough space in the high school area for us to do it, but in that area, there is. So we can put a window that goes in there, use our Safe Schools money to be able to get the electrical hardware and everything else, or use Schedule N, or use Phase 3 money, depending on how much funds we have, to be able to put locks on all those doors, so then it actually becomes a secure vestibule area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then
No, it looks
what
awesome.
happens? And then we just reconstruct the middle school office a little bit and do it. I think we can get that easily under $100,000. And we have those funds in leftover from the capital project. Thoughts?
I think it sounds awesome.
All right, Jim?
I like it.
So I'm rolling with that. If everybody's good with it, I mean, I know we've been talking about it in this community for years about a secure vestibule for the middle school. The high school it's not secure, but it's really close, the window to where it is. And I think if you had to take one or the other, the high school is more expensive. We could not do it right at the moment. That has to be a capital project of its own. The middle school is completely doable, and we'll make that a safe environment. So we're going to move forward with Phase 3, but Phase 3 is not going to be the LED lights and everything we talked about. It is going to be that. If there's money left over, we're going to focus it in on an upgrade electrical-wise if we need to. Or we're going to use it for possibly the pack and put a long throw camera in there. Or something like that we can do.
Mhm.
Now talking about LED lights and all these other things. As we were going through the building condition survey, and you'll see it, there are a lot of electrical items that go along into that. The district has not done really any lighting or electrical projects ever, right? We've done small LED ones. You know, you've done a gym, you've done a few things, but overall, we're pretty much straightforward lights. There's something called an energy performance contract. Jim, do you want to explain what that is for everybody? Does everybody know what it is? All right.
Okay,
Jim, why don't you-
so an energy performance contract is when you work with a vendor to retrofit lighting, HVAC, and other energy using devices. And the entire purpose of the contract is to essentially pay itself back over an 18-year period. So they won't even allow it unless it completely pays itself back through energy savings over an 18-year period. So what you do is essentially you bring in a vendor and you say, okay, go through and tell us exactly what we're going to do, HVAC, lighting, and everything. Make sure it meets that 18-year payback. And the state will say, we will fund a portion of it. The remainder of it comes from the savings. You borrow the money up front as a capital lease, and you pay it back over the 15 years of state aid. And it's basically neutral. You save the money, you put it towards the payment, you get money from the state to offset the rest of the payment, and it's cost neutral for the district, and you're saving money perpetually.
So if you were like me when I first heard about this, I was surprised because it's an amazing way to do a project and get things that you need to get done without a burden on general fund or taxpayers.
Right.
Well,
Our savings are less over time, though, right? Is that right? Just
Our
'cause the
savings
nature
are
of it
less.
is?
Did you say less over time?
Yeah, right.
Well, it depends on the cost of electricity, and there is a scaling factor that they put in the calculation. So
The vendor will, so what happens is the architect will work with the vendor. The vendor will then make a decision if it's worth it, right? And they have to do all the calculations. Everything's on them to show what it is. So the agreement is, here's what it's going to be, here's how much you owe us, and here's where it's all coming from. It's all based on what they do. So it's really no risk to the district in that regard.
No.
And, you know, there's a couple other schools that have done them. Some work out very well because it's how much money you can save. When you look at our building condition survey, you know, we have a lot of things on there, the desert air for our pool, like there are a lot of big ticket items that we can knock off utilizing this and then save when we end up getting to, you know, capital projects for the elementary school or high school, they're already done. You know, so we're looking at, you know, possibly, and this one I want to talk to the board about is, we're looking at trying to see if an EPC is worth it. And we could basically, we could do LED lighting across the district. We could upgrade all of our electrical things like that, and then also try to get a lot main items from our BCS taken care of, without having cost impact on the district.
another
Does that
factor is
sound-
the vendor will guarantee the savings within the EPC, so that you're never going to have an impact on the local taxpayers.
It almost sounds too good to be true a little bit in my mind, but thoughts on this?
It sounds good, but I'm not.
So Ichabod
Yeah, I
Crane
mean-
went and did it, and they did well, and they were able to get what they needed to get done on it. So I do know a district that's already done. Bill, you can
Yeah, I
check
mean,
it.
I think it's certainly something for consideration. You know, depending on the specifics, et cetera, of the contract, how everything is laid out, and then, you know, doing a direct compare to, you know, like what it would cost, you know, over a similar period of time with a traditional procurement, with, you know, factoring in those same savings estimates. So,
Well, the traditional procurement of doing it, we have to go through capital project.
no, we do. Yep.
Yeah, and then we have to then borrow and do all those other things. So there are other issues that go along with that then would take from us.
For sure.
In order for us to move forward on this and even to get an estimate or start the conversations, I have to have the board pass a resolution to say that I give Mosaic Architecture, which is our firm, the ability to go contract with a vendor to see if it's something that we can do. We can always say no afterwards. They can bring it to us. I've already had our lawyer look at it and talk to me about it. But there has to be a resolution giving Mosaic the ability to speak to a vendor on our behalf.
I think you got it.
All right. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
I think we got to keep selling on that, quite frankly, because what you're talking about, many people will not understand.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that could be a killer.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you've got to talk it, and you got to make sure that people are comfortable with it.
yeah. Jim had to sit me down for a good hour and explain it to me. I gotta be honest with you, because I wasn't familiar, like, I could not wrap my head around how that funding would work.
Yeah, I'm still like,
Oh,
whoa.
Jim, don't worry, I was right with you. Jim, I'm not lying, right, Jim?
Not at all. But at least I've been through one before, so I have some experience with it. So
Jim, how did it work out for you when you did it?
it worked out extremely well. We worked with CNS companies out in Syracuse. They wouldn't come out this far, so it's not a conflict, and I'm not, suggesting anyone. But they worked out very well. They had a guarantee, and it's met the requirements ever since. So.
I mean, I like it, but we got to be careful with it.
Yep.
I mean, people kind of like, they get antsy if they can't understand what it is.
Yeah. So the architect would help us do all that. So they would get through it, and then after we have an understanding and presentation and what it is and how it would work, then we can talk about what the next steps would be if that's something we'd want to undertake. But, there is a large amount of electrical work that can get done in this district, and maybe we can even do phases and other things in there, Bill,
Well, yeah, that's actually one of the other questions, Jim. Is, we have RTUs and univents that are listed on our BCS.
They can go in the EPC.
That's what I was asking. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because some of these things, we can encompass a whole lot.
Well, that's why this all came up, because when we were looking at the BCS, there are a lot of things like, RTUs,
Yeah.
events, all these other things that can go into an EPC. And then we can get a large amount of our work done
Through funding.
through funding
Yeah.
and through zero impact on our tax base. And then also save that money and save that time for when we go back to do a project, it's already done. And then we're not looking at reinventing the wheel.
Check off a bunch on the BCS. Unfortunately, we already did the high efficiency boilers. We just did all of our pumps with the variable frequency drive. Some of these things were perfect candidates for this, but
The number one money is LED.
it's
Honestly,
the lighting.
it's the lighting.
Yeah.
Where the
Absolutely.
big bang for the buck is, where you see the biggest amount of revenue is, and be able to offset it, is the LED lighting. The
And
fact is that the
generally,
district,
that's how you approach this. You say, how much lighting can we put in? This generates that much savings. What else can we put into it to even things out? So.
and the fact that we haven't really done a wide scale, large scale LED initiative here. We've done a little, we've done a few things here or there throughout the years, but you haven't done a wide scale LED initiative. That actually benefits us in this time. So,
I think that's a great idea. Just, we just got to make it.
So we'll do the resolution then, and then we'll go from there, and we'll talk to the board about it. But I'm going to put it on for the January, and then we'll move forward at least and see what starts happening. So, good. That was the EPC I wanted to talk about. Before I get into the building condition survey, which is the last thing, I want to talk about just use of facilities. We've opened up our K2. 3-4, we're still working on finalizing the contract to probably start that later in January for the 3-4 practices. We were approached by the people who have done scuba for continuing education. And I know we said we're going to kind of take these case by case or doing students. This one does not really benefit our students, but it's very minimal impact. I think there's like 4 or 5 people that would do it. So do we still say, no, we're not going to open up our community, our facilities? Or is this one that we say, all right, well, we probably could do this one because it's only 4 or 5 adults or 4 or 5 kids who want to be a part of it. And
Is that through
was kind of
continuing
what-
ed? How's that structured?
Yeah, that's for continuing ed who does it.
So will we be doing continuing ed then?
That would be the question, right? We would start opening that up a bit.
But I mean, continuing ed more broadly, or just one thing that happens to be part of continuing ed?
Starting with this one. Yeah, this is the first one that came to our attention. So continuing ed is a district-run initiative. You know, we do run it. And we can open up more of it. I mean, we've been shown to be able to do things safely in school. But school was the first one that came our way that we said, I wonder if this would be like a good way to see how things can go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm fine with it. Like the only scuba is just a weird one with, but I'm sure it's fine. They can figure it out with the there's that broader contextualization of the DOH memo that just came out talking about out school. If there are going to be students there adhering to the mask requirements, etc. And I understand it's a water thing, but there's a lot of out of water instruction with scuba. Having been through it, again, just making sure that they follow appropriate protocols and procedures, whatever those are. So, but I mean, I don't really see, I guess, any reason not to. It seems like a relatively low risk and easy one, right?
I mean, that's what I was kind of thinking. I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be a lot of people. And it is pretty low risk. And you can even put on some of these things must be vaccinated, right? I mean, if we're having community use, I mean, could we say, yes, in order to do this, in order for continuing education, we would prefer our people to be vaccinated who are coming on duties, or we could say not vaccinated? That's a question.
That's a good point, Frank. In the so the other part about those orders, right? There is that school buildings are special, but they're only special with what we do with our buildings. With again, my understanding of the reading of that commissioner's determination at events where students are expected to be present. But if it's not, then we can turn it into any other indoor use where we could say, hey, require masks or vaccination. And something like scuba, where you're in a pool, you're out of a pool. I mean, could we just say, hey, we'll require vaccination for this type of use of this of this building, as opposed to requiring masks, right? So they don't need to worry about masking.
I think we have to do both. But,
Huh? Oh, they would have to do both. So if again that commission determination,
listen,
students are present.
we have swim right now, Rob. We have swim right now, and they're swimming. The kids are.
Yep.
They're not masked, but they're swimming, right? And when they
No,
get
but
out
they're
of the pool,
masked when
they're
they're out. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. They're
So I mean, we're dealing with that right now. So it'd be very similar to what we do with our swim kids. But we probably still would do the masking, but I'm wondering, even that would be a safeguard. And I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
yeah.
But I think it's an easy thing to look at. I can have Joe at least start looking into it and seeing how it works instead of giving it flat
Totally.
out.
Yep. Yeah.
Jim, how you feel about it?
I'm all right.
Okay. And I know Trish is watching. She couldn't be here tonight, but I know I said if there was any questions she had or comments, she can share with us, and we can make those public as well then. So, all right, last one then. See, look at that. That was pretty good. Is the prioritization of the building conditions survey. So, we just got today, and I sent it to, I think I sent it out to you guys late. We just received, because I know that it's a little bit easier for you to see.
Thanks.
We received a 5-year executive summary of what it is. I'm going to, again, see if I can share it. I don't know if I can. For some reason, I don't know how to work a computer today. I don't know why it's not working. I have no idea why it's not working. Do you have that too, though? The 5-year? that I just sent?
Which is this the one that got sent out late? The for today? Yes. Yep.
Yes, okay, that's the one. All right, perfect.
Got
So
it.
I'm just gonna, good, and then, I don't know, Bill, if you can see it or not.
I have it.
Okay, perfect, so we all got it. So they sent this today. And it kind of basically talks about where we are in our plan. What's satisfactory, where we stand. There is one thing that's fair. And that is our fields, or they're satisfactory, sorry, I believe. But they are one thing that we know that we need to look into is our elementary school fields. That's why we're fixing them now, because of the drainage issue, because of what's going on down there. Those fields are one that we need to keep an eye on. But right at the moment, they're satisfactory. And it kind of talks about the things that we're going to look at doing. And basically says all the different things. So what we need to look at is, and what you have is, what are the things that are priority to us? They basically rank them right now, what they feel would be a priority. All I need to know is, and I know you guys have looked at this, is which ones do you feel need to be first year, second year, third year, or are you good with what they gave us? That really is just the question. Now, again, you don't have to do them in order, right? It's not like it's, you know, mandated that they have to be each year done. But there are a lot of things. Now, they're going to present this to us. They can do January, but they won't have estimates. If they do February, they'll have an estimate of what some of these things would cost and, you know, how they would work. But if you look at priority 1, secure vestibules, replace old ACT siding, treat stage, roof repairs, provide exhaust at existing kitchen. So they put year 2. They talked about the moving of the main office, upgrading and, you know, the things at the transportation facility. I don't know if that's going to be year 2. I mean, I'd love it to be year 2, but I don't think we're going to be able to do it then. That'll probably be year 3 or 4. As we've been talking about enrollment, our elementary school is expanding with enrollment. And we can leave it year 2 because we know that's a priority or an initiative that we have to hit. Do you guys see anything on here that you'd like to change? When you were looking at the facilities or looking at the other condition surveys that I gave you, just the rankings?
Not at the moment.
Bill, do you see anything?
There's a couple things that have already been taken care of, like we talked about previously, so.
But nothing of priority wise. That's just kind of
Nothing jumping out at the time being.
They'll go through and talk about all their findings with us. That's what the presentation will be for. And kind of walk through everything. Again, there are a lot, as you're reading it, you can see there are a lot of things that deal with electrical and HVAC and, you know, things that can go underneath the energy savings, which is a good thing. Thoughts on this, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay. So the last thing I have then is kind of goes off this. I want to give you where we stand with our transportation facility in elementary school, because that is one that I'm not letting go. As you know, we could go out to the community for a vote tomorrow, right? Well, not really, but we could work on a vote for a capital project for our elementary school to put a transportation facility on property, and then, you know, upgrade our elementary school as we've been talking about. I can get the quotes. I can understand how much it is. It could be anywhere between 5 and 7 million to do the plan that we've been discussing. but there would be tax burden on our school community. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about
So
it.
how much, what are we talking about?
Anywhere between 2 and 3% tax burden on our school community. Or there is a possibility that we work with the DPW, which is next door, and we're looking at this for a shared service agreement, which means that we would work with the county, and I'm looking into this right now. That's why I'm not ready to go move on this, is the county and I are talking, and we're having conversations where it might be mutually beneficial, because they're looking at changing what they're doing maybe in a couple of years and doing some upgrades at their facilities. We could work in doing a shared facility where they would help create our transportation facility there. We would use a shared service agreement to be able to get grants and funding back. And then we would lease that transportation facility from them. We can lease and get aid back. And actually, this would end up costing the district much, much less, with probably zero impact on our taxpayers. And end up being a really good partnership that could work for the district in many beneficial ways. So I could go out and we could do it and we could keep it all on property, but we could be missing out on a multi-million-dollar savings by sharing with the facilities. Because typically what happens with shared service agreements is whatever we could save by partnering up with another agency is how much money we can get back. And there's percentages of that. So if we could save $6 million, there's a lot of money that could be made. There's some counties that have done this already, like Broome County did it with a shared service with health, and I believe it was $3 million that they received back through that. So there is a good possibility here. The county's very interested in it. I'm very interested in it. So I'd like to wait a year, kind of hash this out, see if it's beneficial.
What do you mean by letting,
Wait a year before we do anything.
Wait a year.
Wait a year before we do anything with the elementary school or transportation facility, which we've already been talking about on property.
Yeah.
And give me a year to hash it out with DPW.
All right.
Because it's going to take a year to hash this out
So
to see if it's beneficial.
All right.
Can we, not to try to apply too much pressure, but can we say, look, I'm obviously in favor of waiting to try to figure that out. I don't enjoy the sound of a year versus, less than that. But just try to see what we can do in a, and I know those things take time, but if there's ways where, we have a very good understanding of what can happen, or I don't know.
I'll explain why it's got to be a year. I left that part out, so let me explain it to you. Each year, the counties and all have to agree. Everybody in the county has to vote on the shared service agreement. The vote on the shared service agreement for next year is actually, I think, tomorrow. So in order for us to actually be on the shared service agreement, it's a whole year away from now. So we have a year to be able to get it all ready, and then we have to have it approved by the county. And that's not just them, it's all municipalities have to vote on it. Like all the superintendents, Albany County go, or everybody's area, everybody votes. So it would be a next year's vote, and then we can get aid after that. But it has to be on the vote first. So that's why I'm saying it's a year.
Yeah, but by the time, so a year for that kind of a vote, but we would know a lot much before the point where it's already there for a vote, where we have work done, we have whatever, and we're preparing to.
Already met. The architects already met with them. We drafted out a scope of where it would be. The county now has that, and they're drafting out where a scope it would be. So we're kind of working out price tag and kind of just rough estimates to see if it's even feasible for us to do this and how much money we would save. So all the groundwork's there, but I'm just telling you that, I'm not leaving it be, but it's going to be a year. I mean, this isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow. It takes time to do something like this.
So it's going to take probably more than a year.
It would take, we wouldn't see probably breaking ground transportation facility probably for 2 years. But you got to understand, I mean, we could fast pace it, but my concern would be on that is the tax burden on our school community, then missing out on an opportunity that we could do something really creative with a municipality that's right next door.
Oh yeah, and that's what we should be doing. No, my only point with it, and again, you explained it with the vote, whatever. There's it's not waiting a year. There's lots of things we're going to be doing, so it's all ready. And then in fact, there's more things that we can do to make sure we're more ready to accelerate things after there's approval. Right.
But I think
Not
the
like we're
approval is
sitting-
one.
We're not sitting on
Oh,
our
God,
laurels for a year waiting around until this happens and then get the gears moving. It's right.
No, all the planning's already been started.
Mhm.
And we continue to start and plan, but it's a lot of work to get us to that 1-year project. I mean, Jim, do you consider this to be a pretty heavy lift?
Oh, it's going to be a very heavy lift.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So I've already been kind of like working on it, but it's a long road to get us to where we need to be. But I think in the end, if I can make it work and the county makes it work, I think it's a huge win for the district.
No, it's certainly worth it.
Yeah, you got to keep it alive
Oh,
to make it happen.
yeah. And look, again, Lisa Raimondo is over at the Department of Transportation. She's been fantastic in working with us and having the conversations, and Scott over there. So they're definitely looking at this moving forward. And, I'll give updates as we move forward on this and see where we are. But I just want to tell you that in the eyes of the transportation facility putting on property, I'm going to put that on the back burner for a while and focus on the DPW so we can move forward with that. And that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Sounds awesome.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
I'm good right now.
All righty. We'll call that a wrap then.
Awesome. In and under an hour.
Curiosity.
Oh, wait,
Okay, just
yeah.
one other thing.
What's that?
Lighting out here at night. How do you feel about that?
Like, meaning not having it or having it?
That we've got enough or not enough? Just out of curiosity.
Be nice to have more. That's always been one of the thoughts,
See,
but
'cause that's bugging the, when I come home sometimes, I mean, that really, I get pissed because it's so goddamn dark out there, so, and that's, I don't know, what do you think? I mean, on that?
You mean the lights here?
Yeah, out there.
the parking lot lighting that we currently have, the.
Yeah,
lighting
down
above
by
it.
the road.
Oh, down by the road?
Yeah, is everybody good on that?
The road is a different area because it's not a safety concern or a security concern. The building perimeter lighting is part of what we were talking about, big scope with doing LED lighting projects and upgrades.
Yeah.
What we currently have.
I gotta be honest, I haven't looked at it in that way to really think about it. If you're saying like down by where the road is towards the school, there can be that dark area as long as the school facility itself is lit.
Right.
So our cameras will work and everything will be
Yeah.
there. That's what's most important.
Yep.
So, okay.
All
All right. I'm going to stop recording and we'll be good to go.
All right.
All right. See you later.
Thanks,
right,
everyone.
dinner time.
Yeah.